And although people don't know about you in this very moment, the world would know soon. That's how you have to look at it. That's how I look at it on certain things. Like, it's cool, okay, but just keep going. Eventually, it's gonna happen.
That's all.
You just have to keep going, and it has to be within to know, like, in a humble way, I could do it.
You know, interesting, especially with this first week, because I think there's a way to move around life, you know, as a man, and to, you know, instead of always just looking inward at like, what can I do better? What can I work on myself on? What can I do for myself? Just putting it outward into other people, into the community that you're in, which is all it's all about, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, bro, how are you doing though? What's one word to describe how your last couple of days this week have been going for you?
That's a good one. One word. I'll go with persevering. And I'll say it from the standpoint of, so I'll say this, I'm doing, and this is just from a challenge standpoint, but also just how I am with them, just my workouts, but it's further than just workouts. I'm doing 1,000 push-ups a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So just it's no excuse.
Yeah.
It's no excuse. Wow. I have to get 1,000 push-ups in a day. So that's why I say persevering, because we work, we have things we have to take care of, reading, just life. And I'm on day 2. Yeah, tomorrow will be day 3. But yeah.
How you feeling?
Man, that's what persevering.
Yeah.
Persevering. It feels good though. I'm sore. I'm sore. My chest is sore already.
Double XL shirt right there. Yeah.
No, but like that's why I say it's more than just working out.
For sure.
It's more so just like
it's an accountability thing.
Yeah, and it's pushing through regardless. Like setting a goal and achieving that every day. And in my mind, there's no excuse. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm doing push-ups while I'm working. Just like,
for sure.
Just put my computer down, you know, and get it in. It's just a no excuse type of thing. So it's more than working out. Of course, it's working out, but for me, it's the psychological aspect of pushing through, setting a goal, getting it done. And there's just so many different components to it. So again, on the surface level, it's working out, but it's much more deeper than that. So
no, I get it, bro.
Persevering.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like being up in the hotel, because I'm on I just do 100 a night.
For sure.
That's what I do, 100 a night. And
absolutely.
I mean, there'd be times where I'm like, it's already 11:30, 12, and I'm like falling asleep, jump out of the bed and just hit them, bro. Just hit them. And I think, like you said, once you get yourself out of it and you're in the moment of it, that's the easy part, right? And then you finish it and you're like, I'm him. Yeah, like I did that. And it's not, and I agree with you, it's not the workout standpoint that hits the hardest. It's the
mindset.
Man, I just did that. I can do anything now, you know, tired, hungry.
Yeah.
You know, cold, sick, not sick, whatever it is, I can do anything if I just apply, you know, the consistent measure of, bro, just one more.
Just do it.
One more.
Just do it, man.
One more.
Absolutely.
So I like that's a good little tidbit of motivation to start your day off. I don't know about 1,000, y'all, but maybe, you know, start with like
set your
20,
own goal. You know what I mean?
You know, even 100 steep, like 100 steep. But on the workout aspect, I will say push-ups are probably the easiest thing you can do as a dude to build your body. The quickest. Like, I tell this to my dad. I'm like, I took push-ups for granted when I was in high school and college, bro. And now I've seen push-ups translate over into every aspect of my lifting and like my workout journey, especially in my last 2 years, you know, in my late 20s. So push-ups and sit-ups, bro. That's
calisthenics, man. To me, I feel like if somebody can't work with their and I don't want to go off on a tangent.
No, yeah, for sure.
Somebody can't work with their natural weight. Technically, you genuinely don't really need to be touching weights for real.
You're not your most optimal. I was just having that conversation today. Yeah, really it's not. If you think of us everyday people, right? Like the ones that aren't playing, you know, professional sports, picking stuff up, moving stuff, bending over, that's all optimal physique. And if you're not able to pick yourself up from a time of need, or like you're trying to get out of a situation and we got bigger problems, or pull yourself up into something. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. You can't, you shouldn't be doing anything else if you can't do 10 push-ups. So, but that's for sure, bro. It's good to have you guys back. I know we missed out on a week, just, you know, out taking a break with some health stuff, but we are back, man. And today I wanted to focus a lot of the conversation on doing some research earlier this week. I wanted to look at what were the top 10 things that us men at our age, so we're obviously in our late 20s, but this can apply to anyone in their walking journey. What are the top 10 things that men aren't answering honestly? Or what are the top 10 questions that men should be asking themselves at this time of their life? So for the people that are 22, for the dudes that are 25, for the guys that are 35, like it doesn't matter. These are the 10 questions that I'm about to go over. I'm going to ask Julian. Julian's going to answer. I'll give an answer, and then we'll talk about a few of these based off of where they prioritize in our lifestyles and whatnot. So the first question, are you actually happy or just comfortable?
Well, speaking for men, I don't think like, yes, we should all aspire for happiness, but happiness is fleeting. So like, if you're going to live your life based on being happy, I don't believe that's contingent on manhood.
For sure.
Women and kids should be happy. And yes, as people, we should be happy. But if you want to be happy every day, it's not about being happy. I think it's about being proud of yourself. Like how you just said, 11:30, you're ready to just really wind down, chill, go to sleep. Nah, I need to still bust these push-ups in. I need to still get these push-ups in. That's when you finish that, you're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not, and I'm just using that as an example, but
sure.
I don't think it's necessarily about 24/7 happiness. Of course, we're aspiring for happiness. Of course. Absolutely. I'm not saying we should just be sad or anything like that. No, but for us, we're speaking about men. I don't believe it's about just constant happiness. I think it's about doing things so that when you look at yourself and you look at what you've accomplished or, what you have, you can be like, man, I'm proud. I'm proud. Because within that, it's not going to be happiness all the time. You know what I mean? I'm not happy trying to get to 1,000 push-ups, but when I do it for the day, I'm proud of myself. So within certain things, I think just to bring it all together, I think in that journey of aspiring to be proud of yourself, happiness is a byproduct of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So yeah,
I think
that was kind of long-winded.
No, that was good. I think the way you explained it provides context to a lot of the guys that are watching this right now. And when we look at it, are you actually happy or just comfortable? I think the second part of that answer is, applying it to biblical teachings and applying it to church. Joyful should be the word that's replaced in there than happy.
Yeah.
And this was something that I learned, very recent into my walk in my faith. And I think I realize now that when I think of the times that I'm around friends or I'm doing work or aligned with my purpose, I want it to be joyful because joy lasts longer from what one of my pastors explained. Joy is what is used in the Bible. You don't see the Bible ever talking about being happy. Yeah. It talks about being joyful or bringing joyful moments to others or, people seeing Jesus, the Christ, and, feeling joy in their lives.
Absolutely.
And I do align it to what you just said. I think as men, we are most joyful when we align with something and go after something that provides a bigger impact for a family, friend, or for a greater community than just ourselves.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And I think a lot of us guys struggle and get ourselves into, addiction and get ourselves into a lot of bad things when we don't have anything to align with. So
we're chasing happiness.
Exactly. And we have so much energy. That's the crazy part. Like if you ever look at a day to where you weren't as productive, right? It wasn't that you weren't productive. It's that you put energy into other things that day.
That's it.
And when you're honest with yourself, it's like, wow, like I do have a lot of energy. I can work 2 jobs. I can work 3 jobs. I can do all of this stuff on top of hit 1,000 push-ups and still have some energy left in the tank. What does that tell me? That I'm needing to find something to be joyful about. And I just haven't found it yet, which is cool.
Absolutely.
So yeah, bro. It says studies from the World Health Organization show emotional numbness is increasingly reported among men, especially prioritizing stability over fulfillment. So I feel like, guys being stable still falls within that like comfortable, content type feeling, which to your point, it doesn't mean that you can't be comfortable in a place. It just means that got to have an aligned, procedure, thought process in order to move so you can find those joyful moments because you're not going to be joyful in being comfortable.
It's not reality.
Nah, man. All right. So question 2, what are you truly afraid will happen if you slow down?
Aspirations don't get accomplished. Failure. To me, that's scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Having to move back home. Certain things.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's a real one.
Certain things to where it's like, I can't allow that to happen. And I don't want to say it's paranoia because that's not it, but it's a healthy consciousness of like, you have to continue to keep going so that you can accomplish your goals, but also so that like you don't go backtrack. And I think that's a healthy mindset to have, to where it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you don't want to get too caught up in that, but just having a mindset of I need to constantly be moving forward and growing and elevating, because that's what it's about. We're supposed to grow and evolve. We're not supposed to backtrack. So I would say that.
Bro, that was.
I know you understand.
No, I get it, and I think
yeah.
the easiest way, and I'm just going to reiterate the question: what are you truly afraid of will happen if you slow down? The best way to describe it as an athlete is, I hate losing more than I like winning.
That's a fact.
I think, for people that can understand that saying, it aligns back to, I don't ever want to go back to the area that I started, because that is what I fear, is when I was at my lowest of my lows, or that's when I was a loser, or that's when I just didn't amount to anything that I'm at right now, because I've been trying and working so hard to get to this spot.
Yeah.
You mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, being tricked out of your position.
Yeah,
it kind of aligns the same way as you get too comfortable. Back to the first question, you get too comfortable, you get too caught up in the looking around, and this just is so nice, and I'm just so lucky and blessed, or however you say it, to where you slow down and you figure out that that's all you can ever do with your life.
Yeah.
So
but you were never a loser, bro.
No. You know what you mean. I mean, like the loser mentality. Yeah, I appreciate you. That's love, bro. That's
sometimes
love.
people attribute to, before they had certain things, to when I was a nobody, and it's like, nah,
for sure.
You were still a somebody. You just weren't at the place you are now.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, I know you're not saying that.
No.
It just made me think.
That.
When you hear people say like, back when I was a nobody, it's like, what? Humbly, you're supposed to be like, I was him, even in that point in time. Now I've just grown and elevated, but it's like, nah, the mindset you had then is still what you have now. It's just you've grown. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh yeah, that's love. That's love for sure.
Yeah.
So all else is said is, what are you truly afraid of? What will happen if you slow down? I think personally for me is, being stagnant.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of us guys stay stagnant with the things that we're doing, like I mentioned earlier, but the only way that I can get out of that is to continue to align with doing things, stepping up and starting ventures, expanding the podcast, expanding the friend group that can bring in more resources, like just finding areas to continue to keep elevating so that each year it grows in its own way. So, all right, question 3, how much of your confidence is actually a defense mechanism?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think when it starts to get into the cocky space, that's when it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
But if you're operating from a place of growth and knowing who you are, I don't think that's ever a defense mechanism. However, people might see who you are just as a confident person, dressing nice, being stylish, taking care of yourself, and they might attribute that to what a defense mechanism, just that example. But I don't think in any aspect, if you're maneuvering from a place of healthy confidence, or you're growing, or you're aspiring to be that person who you want to be, that's what you should be doing. It's only a problem when you're moving from a cocky space and you can't back it up, or it doesn't really align with who you are. That's when it's problematic. But if it's not that, you should be confident.
Yeah, for sure. I like this question because this one only aligns with you and self-reflection, right? Internally,
that's a fact.
And we talked about this a while back on this, like how much of your confidence is actually a defense mechanism. Only you will know what your genuine side of things is and what's not. People will feel that type of energy, but you will only know what's true and what's not based off of how you're presenting yourself.
That's true.
I think there have been, both sides of extremities where you just mentioned, to where like I'm wearing a fit, and the one side to where it was very much me out of insecurity to hide something. It showed up a lot differently than how I wore it and presented myself with conviction and confidence. And I got 2 different feedbacks on it. The first one, I got no feedback, and it was almost like I isolated myself because I was just, the way I was carrying myself was very isolating in that moment, to where the second side, I was getting people come up to me and give me some really cool feedback and love on the fit. So I think, again, bro, it falls back to, if you're aligned with who you are, and I'm not saying you got to be perfect. That's not what we're saying. No. You are aligned with the things that you do very well and the things that you are still working on and you're owning up to as mistakes. You can't lose in this question. None of that confidence is fake. It's confidence. That's all it is. It's conviction. That's really what it comes down to. And when we talk about what the defense mechanism is, that's where the ego steps in. So if you're moving in conviction and understanding that you're not a perfect person, you can't lose. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
All right. Question 4. Do you feel financially secure enough to be the partner you want to be? Oh, dang.
It's a good question.
Good question.
Me personally, I feel like even just from a younger standpoint, I've always had a mindset of just abundance. I mean, I got it tatted on my hand. So to me, it's more so like, I mean, now, yeah, I could do certain things, but my mindset is really set on like real abundance. Like even biblically, we're supposed to live abundantly. Like
sure.
God talks about that. We're supposed to live in abundance. So having said that, I mean, from me personally, there's no number on it. I can't
No,
put a
yeah,
number on it.
of course not.
But there is a certain lifestyle that I am working to obtain to where it's like, now I can really, really do things that I want, how I want to do it in a very, very real way. And that's what I'm attracting. Or I don't want to say chasing, but that's what I'm attracting. That's what I'm working towards. So I can't put a price on it, but my mindset is definitely like real abundance. So I would say that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I like this question because it's not asking a dollar amount, or it's not making it seem like you need to have X amount of money in your system, which I do enjoy, because the credible source says it's financial stress remains one of the top predictors of anxiety and relationship strain for men under 40. So a lot of guys are struggling with the fact of, man, I'm not even in a place where I can take care of a woman or take care of a family right now, which is a real stressor, which is why the question's on here. So with that being said, I'll read the question again. Do you feel financially secure enough to be the partner you want to be? I think the last couple of years I've felt the most confident in being able to admit that I, could be the partner that I want to be for someone financially. I think abundance is something that I've always worked towards, especially in my early 20s, when I got my first job really late. But it took X amount of years for me to learn like what to do with the money, what not to do with the money, to even now, whereas like there's still things that I'm learning about financial gain and financial worth. But I think right now where I'm sitting, I can honestly say like, yes, absolutely, I can be a partner that, takes care of another partner if I needed to be in that situation. Now, that other situation is a completely different story, but
for sure.
On a yes or no basis, yeah, absolutely. I think both of us could easily say that on a spectrum for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I would say the caveat is just for men. I think sometimes people focus on certain things that they shouldn't even be focused on.
Yeah.
So it's like really, we talk about it often, but focus on yourself, focus on getting bread, stacking, saving. And then if in God's will something manifests naturally, then that's when you start to like align it and make it make sense. But going out and trying to seek other things when you're not good yourself, from a taking care of yourself standpoint, financial standpoint, I don't think that's wise for anybody.
No, that's
to be
for sure.
Trying to like court or do certain things, and it's like, bro, that's whatever that is, that might hurt you, or that might not the person, but just financially dishing things out, that's gonna hurt you. It's like, why even try to entertain if you're not gonna be good financially? That's to me, that's just not logical.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know people do that because I get it. I'm not knocking, but we're talking about in a mature aspect. Make sure your bread is right first for whatever that is for you. Make sure you're good. Everything else, women not going extinct. They're still gonna be here, man. Get your bread. Get your bread. That's the reality, but for yourself. So that you can do things for yourself. And then when God brings that right woman into your life, then you can do what you need to do. But trying to do certain things and you don't have it, of course that's going to bring stress upon yourself. For anybody, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, especially, again, if we're aligning everything back into like an utmost biblical matter, right? It's like guys should be the providers, especially to your woman. You want to be that. You want to have that sense of like, you want to take care. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But to your point, like anything of too much on one side and not balanced out into, I'm not saying you got to be a perfect dude, but like having a good amount of your assets equalized out to where you can confidently be like, from a whole turnaround table, I have a lot of this stuff on proficient. Like I'm doing good.
Yeah.
But if it's just financial gain that you're just doing well in, and your whole other side of your life is completely messed up, I would argue, bro, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
That's true too.
You're still going to be you're still going to be a low quality man, boyfriend, husband, whatever it is that you want,
Just
because
doesn't make sense.
you didn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Same thing on the other side. You got no money in your bank account and you're going after women, man. It's just, let's be better, because the accountability falls back on us.
100%.
Because you pursuing women is one thing, and you don't have the money. You're just setting yourself up for a manipulation failure right there. All right, question 5. What part of your past do you worry will affect your relationships? It says all relationships.
I don't. That's a good question, but I don't think that. I don't know. That's a good question, man. I'd have to really think about that.
That's fine.
To you, man.
Because I can read the note. So it says, why men avoid it. It says vulnerability feels like exposure.
I was going to say,
Trauma research shows men are more likely to minimize or intellectualize past pain rather than emotionally process it. So with that context, what part of your past do you worry will affect your relationships? I think the trust part, for sure. That's the easy one for me, is like with and this is anything, friendships, relationships, the ability to trust somebody with information that I share, my hurts, my habits, my hangouts that I share, and know that's going to really sit with you, listen to me, and not use it against me when I have, or I fall short, or I don't, I'm not as proficient in the friendship or relationship. I think that's my biggest fear when it comes to meeting somebody, because, man, people can do ugly stuff.
And I would say that's a healthy hesitation.
Sure. I would think so.
It's a
somebody told me it wasn't.
I would agree 100% with that.
Dang.
That would be like my reservation too. It's like just in any you have to be. And again, we spoke about this, but it's having a spirit of discernment. You have to have discernment, because you can't just relinquish.
No.
You can't just relinquish things. So like, I would agree. I would say again, it's probably a healthy hesitation, but it takes real situations and real time to be able to relinquish that. So I'm 100% with you on that one.
Love to see it. All right, question 6. Are you looking for a partner or someone to manage your life? Oof. Sheesh. It says why men avoid it, because independence is expected, not examined. Okay.
What's the question again?
I'll word it this way. If you were looking for a partner, are you looking for someone that is a life partner or someone that is to manage your life?
Well, I would say this, because that word, and I'm not going to get too much into it,
sure.
but like, I'm not looking for a partner. It's a woman, my woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to be very specific about that word. Not for any other reasons. You know what I mean? No, not for that, but just because I'm not like, it's like, no, this would be my woman. I'm not looking like, yes, there's a partnership, but it's like, this is my woman. I'm not looking at it like this is my partner. It's like, no, this is my woman. You know what I mean? And I'm her man. So it's like, but we don't even talk about that type of stuff. But, but I mean, it's just, I feel like the normalcy of what that is what it's supposed to be. Your life is supposed to like tenfold. It's supposed to maximize.
Yeah.
So the abundance, financially, relationships, all of that stuff to me is a combination. It's a combination. So the beauty within that is what I would be aspiring for.
For sure.
The fullness thereof
Yeah.
is what I would be aspiring for. Not, somebody who's going to manage my life. Like, nah, like all of that stuff kind of works within itself.
Right.
But it's like just the fullness thereof of the beauty of a relationship. And what God ordains for that is what I would aspire for.
Yeah. And I think the managing the life part is something that I think the end goal of it is, right? Sure, like when you're old, one of you's not doing as well, like you have to manage the other person's life. Like that's a will.
That's part of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you get to, but that's not off the bat right away. And I think, where the last note it has is a partner is a teammate, not a life assistant, is what the notes say. And I think any right-minded man who is, on his path, who is trying to do, the best that he can aspire to want a woman who is a teammate. Like both playing sports, like when you're on a team and it's a healthy team, I'm talking about the healthy teams and the teammates. Yeah. There's not a lot of things that you won't go through together that you're not going to get through. And too many times, bro, do I see nowadays are these relationships, these marriages that just stop. something bad happens, a rock hits, and they just fall over, and it's just boom, done. One inconvenience. I'm not even gonna say minor. One inconvenience, two inconvenience, and it's done. And I think a lot of us have this like one and done mentality, man. And I'm speaking as a guy. I'm just speaking about guys. When one thing doesn't align with your woman, you're automatically out. And I don't find that's not cool, because if you were playing a sport and you took one L, you're not saying you're not quitting.
Or you quit on your team while you're playing. You just
that's
give
crazy.
Up. That's
we would
worst,
say that's crazy.
The worst teammate to have.
That's the worst teammate to
have.
have.
You can see he's quitting mid game,
walking back and forth.
Yeah, bro, that's a real thing. You know what I mean? Like,
so,
facts.
You know, with all that being said, I think, like you mentioned, I would aspire to have a woman. Like, in a perfect world, absolutely, I would want a woman, but I wouldn't lean on her dependency to make decisions in my life, to get me dressed every day, to know more or less of what I wanted for my dreams and my aspirations and, my business and whatnot. No. It's very much like,
I get you, bro.
Your thing, I have my thing, and we come together and this is ours. Yeah. That's what it is. Like, in that, your thing and my thing, that doesn't mean work or anything. That just means we are individuals first, and then we come together. Because, codependency is, that's a whole different ballgame, bro, but it's ruining things for sure. Okay, question 7. Is your mental health actually okay? Roughly 40% of men report never speaking to anyone about their mental health, according to global mental health surveys.
Yeah, for sure. That's a real thing for men. Yeah, that's a very real thing. I think, that's tough, because some people deal with things more harshly than others. You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on the person. But there's for sure going to be ups and downs in life, regardless to men or women. You know what I mean? Men and women. As people, we're just going to go through things. But for men specifically, I genuinely think it just depends on the men, or on the man, because some men take things harsher or internalize it more than others, and it really, really affects them. And they might not have an outlet to get it out via working out, speaking to somebody, a brotherhood, a group of friends, a family. And so they're just really, really internalizing it, and they're really imploding. And then you have some to where they hit the gym, they read, they have brotherhood, they have a friend group, they can go out to eat with their boys, they can kick it, and they can kind of release, even if they're not necessarily venting or talking about certain things. Just the community of what they have helps to alleviate what they might be going through.
That's true.
And so they internalize it a little bit differently. So I see that in regards to, like, it just depends on who the person is and who they are and how they're dealing with it and what they have around them. Support, no support. Like, it's a lot of different nuanced situations that I would factor in for something like that. Yeah, no,
the way you explain it makes a lot of sense, bro. And, everyone's situation is different for sure. I would tell any dude out there, man, if when you're struggling, talk about it. I'm not even sitting here saying and being an advocate to go get therapy and whatnot, even though I've done that whole thing. But, it's so important to just talk about it. Like, if you can just find at least a time, a homie, or just find some time for prayer, if that's where you need to start, just talk about it, write it down, because internalizing it does nothing for us. It adds to a statistic of men are nothing but angry people who suppress emotions. And I think I'm just tired of seeing that stat and seeing that stereotype for us dudes, because I think behind that, behind a guy like that, it's just a loving soul.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just somebody that wasn't nurtured at a young age and given the time and day to be able to talk and be like, you know what, like, what's going on? What's wrong? Yeah. And, not to share too much information, bro, but I know my parents both have had very similar experiences with kids in their 20 plus years of teaching, and they've never been the teacher or educator to be like, nah, they're worth nothing. They've always tried their best to, dive in, to lean in and make sure that those kids are at least being heard, or finding an area or situation for them to be successful in, because if not them, who?
That's love too.
Because it's not the parents.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's not the foster parents, not the grandparents. Who? Yeah. So, with all that being said, man, just make sure y'all are having that conversation and just, pray about it to start with. The least thing you can do is pray about it. Okay. Question 8. Do you feel like you've achieved enough to feel manly? Okay.
Well, I feel like that's a feeling that one should just already, I feel like there's a time to where you probably can start to realize, like, all right, through maturity, and that's all of this is
sure.
internal.
For sure.
It's internal, but there's a certain place or certain points to where you start thinking differently, and whatever it is for you, you start to realize like, okay, you're either stepping into your manhood or you're moving as a man. You're thinking like you're thinking like a man. You're taking on responsibilities. You're sticking up for yourself and not letting people say certain things or do certain things. And we're not talking about like, you know what I mean, going back and forth with people, but just holding your own, voicing your perspective and letting it be known like, no, this is how I feel about it. Or, you know, it's just a certain way of moving. I do think there's a certain place to where a guy gets to a point in his life to where he's like, all right, I'm a man now. Like I'm a man now, but it's all internally.
Yeah,
it's internally.
For sure.
So yeah, I would say it from that perspective.
Sheesh. The tip on this or the note, it says why men avoid it because masculinity is often measured externally. And I think that's I think that's true, bro. I think that's proven true. A lot of us guys will measure some of our, if we were to ask, you know, a group of guys, 10 of them, of like who they thought was the manliest dude, you know, that they looked up to. You know, some would say their father, some would say, you know, athletes or whoever, and you would ask them why. It's probably first because of physical attributes, not emotional or mental. It's probably physical, which I get that to a certain extent, but I think the driving force behind that is, you know, when I think of my dad, his mentality to just want to win,
that's what I was
want to help is what makes him, in my eyes, manly.
Yeah.
You know, that makes a man in my life who I look up as a role model as, I know that anytime I call him, he will answer his phone.
Yeah.
Someone whose accountability is always there, who will do anything, sick, tired, make trips cross country to go see his daughter or to see his son. Like he will show up, football game, whatever. And I think that's what I have amounted to call what is a man and what isn't, because I've seen the rah coaches who all they do is just, they yell or they give the best presentations ever, or they make things sound so good. And then what happens whenever you see them the next day, the action doesn't follow. It's hollow. The word means nothing. And I think a man's word is just everything.
Yeah. And
from a father, from a son to have heard that, from a coach. I don't know how many times you've heard a coach say, hey, Julian, I'm really proud of you. And that's just done wonders to your confidence. And you know they mean it.
Yeah.
Compared to somebody that's like, hey, yo, I'm going to pick you up in 10 minutes and they don't come through. So that's what I'm saying is just the power of being able to follow through with what you're saying and what you do as a man. I mean, I feel like that's the most manly. So, which I don't even know if we answer the question, but you guys understand what we're saying. We don't need to answer that question. I feel like that's a question that peers answer for you. That's not necessarily something that you answer for yourself. All right, question 9. Why do you avoid making long-term plans? Planning makes failure feel real. Men report higher anxiety around commitment tied to fear of inadequacy rather than fear of responsibility in itself.
Wow. What was it? The fear of making long-term plans?
Yeah. Why do men avoid making long-term plans?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. It's really making me think. I think if I just to peel back the onion on that, I think a lot of times guys don't want to make long-term plans because we understand. And again, this is just in regards to a lot of things.
For sure.
Regardless to where they are in life, I think there's an understanding that most guys genuinely have that we have to be accountable. Like, again, once you start to really, really mature and understand things, you really understand accountability really is all on you. Like genuinely, it's all on you. And I think just from that question, and this is just thinking about it very quickly, but I think when you plan long-term or you start to invest certain emotions or certain things and it doesn't pan out, you kind of internalize it like, man, it was my fault for even doing that.
Yeah, I get that.
You know what I mean? And it could be based off prior experiences, prior situations, whatever it is. And then you move forward. And again, we're talking about just a plethora of situations. You move forward. Like, it's almost like contracts now. Not contracts, but I'm attributed to it to where you talk about, like, let's say an NBA contract, players are signing 2 to 3 years. They're not signing like a baseball 10-year deal to where it's like, and you got to be in that city for 10 years. That's 20 to 30. That's a long time. But 20 to 23, it's still a lot that can happen. But if we're going to just space it from 20 to 30, you still have 7 more years before you get to 30.
That's true.
So I think it's just a certain thing internally to where it's like, I don't know if that's going to work. And whatever happens, good or bad, that's going to fall on me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just an internal thing to where guys are like, I'm cool on whatever this long-term thing is. I need to like break it down because I need to really like see what it could be, how this could go. You know what I mean? Just in any space in life, just trying to really, really gauge more methodically than just being like, I'm just all in. I'm all in for this substantial amount of time.
For sure. So. Yeah. No, I think to play onto that, I think guys also know that nothing lasts forever.
That's a great.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, certain guys go through certain phases of life and experience that for real, you know, in life. And when they look at it that way, and maybe some of them have gone through it more than others.
Yeah.
It's hard for someone to think like that. The 10-year contract, like,
point.
bro,
that's a great point.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fantasy. That sounds like it's unreal.
Facts. That's real.
And I only know of this because, you know, I've been in certain situations like that, but I've also worked with kids, teenagers who were in that same mindset. Yeah. And I'm like, what's your thought process on it? And they're like, bro, nothing ever lasts forever. Yeah. That's too good to be true. Even 4 years, 5 years. I'm like, what about college? 4 years. Yeah. 4 years. What do you mean? It's never going to work. And when you really dial it back, bro, this question does make sense for the wrong reasons. It says planning makes failure feel real. I don't think it's just a failure thing. I think it's a life experience thing too, to where a lot of these young dudes are just out here like, why? Yeah. When I can easily be like 2 to 3 years, I'll make this plan. And if something happens in that year and a half or two, I just, boom, maneuver. For sure. And I think a lot of us guys, I'm going to give us more credit, are the type to, if it don't work out there, well, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I'm just agile. I'm just making sure that I'm ready for the next move, which you can't be both. You can't be good at being both. You can't be the guy that's good at making moves and make the long-term plan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to have a little bit of both. So when it says here, like, planning makes failure feel real, I'm like, yeah, it does. That plays a part in it. But I think more often than not, a lot of us guys just, we know to be at our most optimal, we have to be able to switch in any given direction. And that doesn't give a lot of us planning for certain things to be like, you know what? Yeah, a 10-year plan does make sense for us. Because how much does that really make sense, bro? It doesn't.
And honestly, I would say even moving methodically, having, let's say if we're going to put a time span to it, 2 to 3 years, a year, having goals and aspirations within that time period, it is kind of long term, but it's more foreseeable. Yeah. I think that's more realistic. If you, like, to me personally, I don't like the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, I do have aspirations and goals and things that I'm working to, but we don't know what God has for us in certain aspects. Things could drastically change, and and God has me aligned here, and I thought I was going this way. I have to deviate. So yes, I can have goals, but I don't necessarily know. You know what I mean? Now, yes, when goals work out and they manifest that you've worked for and prayed for, that's the blessing. But if somebody asks like, oh, what do you plan on being in 5 years? Well, I know certain goals and things that I want to obtain, but I don't know. 5 years before I moved here, I didn't know I was going to be here. Yeah. So it's like, there's so many things, like certain things I've done to where if somebody asked me 5 years prior, did you know you? No, I had no idea. So it's
a hard way to operate, bro.
It's a tricky way. It's kind of like when people ask that, it's kind of like, to me, it's like an elevator talk. It's like, I mean, okay.
That's what sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'd rather ask somebody, what are some of your aspirations and goals and things that you want to achieve? Because that's real. 5 years from now, it's like, bro, you have no idea.
Somewhere else but here.
You could be a millionaire in 5 years. Like, honestly.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? You could have a crib in Paradise Valley or Scottsdale in 5 years. Right now, yes, you aspire for it, but you might not see it right now. 3 years from now, you might be like, man, I can get that crib. Yeah. I can get that and really get that car and that crib and be like, 3 years ago, I was working toward it, but I didn't necessarily, I was just working. I was persevering, and now it's real. So you don't know, man. Like you don't really know.
Yeah, I don't like that question either.
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right,
it's silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
All right, question 10. Do you know how to repair conflict or do you just wait it out?
I'm gonna let you answer that one first, man.
Dang, that's funny. Oh man. I think if the situation calls for it, I could definitely repair conflict. But I think it's a situation on situation standpoint, bro. I think
Said it.
and I'll be honest about this because it was told to me by a third party, but a lot of guys struggle with being problem solvers rather than just listening in certain moments, especially when it comes to intimate relationships. So I remember in therapy when this therapist is telling me this, I'm like, dang, like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like that was one of the areas where it just kind of made me think like, that's true, because as a man, we're supposed to solve the problem. You know, we're supposed to be the ones like, hey, if there's a flat tire, you fix it, not the woman. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you get it done. Yeah. But I think the whole point in that is to get to the understanding of you got to be somebody that can read situations and fill it out and be aware. You know, as a dude, you got to understand like what's the room temperature in here? Like, especially when you're around your homies or your friends, it's like, does it make sense for me to intervene right now? Or does it make sense for me to just, sit back and just make sure that everyone's cool? So I think having that, like those both types of thinking and assets, it allows you to really make that, conscientious decision of, okay, this is coming out of love first and foremost, but I also heard everything. I listened to what was going on, and I'm not reacting off of what I think would be right. I'm reacting off of what's best for the situation. Yeah. So, what about you?
Can you read it one more time?
Yeah. Do you know how to repair conflict, or do you just wait it out?
Repair, wait it out. And I agree with you, man. It's very situational. It depends on who it is, what the situation is, how you feel about it, what happened. There's sometimes there's just so many nuances within something. It's hard to give a clear cut answer. But I think either or can happen. It just depends on the situation, truthfully.
It does. And how much you're tied to, like, I think the $1 million question is asking yourself, like, what will this actually do? If I do try to fix the situation or like repair the conflict, well, that first off, does that make sense? And second, do I even feel some type of way about this person for me to actually repair this? Or do I say, this happened and that's it?
I'm over it. It's nuanced, bro. You know what I mean? It's very nuanced. There's so many different variables and factors that it's hard to we can't just give a clear cut answer. Sure. It's like, what happened? Who was it? How do you feel about it? Yeah. What was done to you? There's so many different elements that it's like.
Or was it done so bad that there's no coming back from it?
Some stuff is just, man, you're just not coming back from it. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's it. That's it. Sometimes it could be repaired, but the reality is sometimes things could be repaired, but you still kind of feel a way about it. So it's like, what's the point of even repairing it?
That's a good point.
When you still internally, you're like, man, it's repaired, but I still feel a way about that for real. It's almost like, you might need to bounce because it's still there. So it's very nuanced, man. Like certain things are just, you can't give a strict answer. It's just life. It's very situational.
Do you feel like there are certain things in general that you just, it doesn't change your character based off of how something happened?
It doesn't change my character. Like it just doesn't, like something happens and I'm just still the same.
Correct.
You know what you mean? For sure. Yeah. I think there are a lot of things to where you could either expect it or not expect it, but irregardless of what happens, you're just like, oh, okay. And you just keep going. So that's a personality thing too.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's very, very nuanced. It's very, very situational on who you are, your personality, experiences. So there's so many different combinations and reasons why people move a certain way, react. It depends. It really just depends.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What are your thoughts on those questions though? After reading all 10 of them, like knowing those are like the top 10 questions that guys aren't able to be honest with themselves about, like how do you feel like that aligns, or do you feel like there maybe are others that you wish were on that list?
Reflecting back, those were pretty good questions. I would wonder, there's so many different questions that could be asked. What made those the 10 that were like the most, I guess, they hit home the hardest.
Right, they made the most sense.
What makes those that 10? But reflecting back on those questions, I do think those were like very key elements and questions and real things that people and men just have questions about or ask internally or just feel a certain way about. I think those were legitimate questions.
Yeah, for sure. And I liked how all the questions kind of touched into different areas of a man, like the awareness aspect, the understanding aspect, the dreaming and the goal setting aspect. Like, I like how it touched on all those areas. And part of me wonders, like, if those questions were formed because that was the only way they could get real data from men, because a lot of it was data backed. And maybe there are just things that they can't just get like a focus group of 100 dudes and actually get results and be like, okay, this percentage of men do X, Y, and Z based off of how they would have done it. But yeah, bro, I think it's good to have check-ins like that for sure. You know, whether it's, you know, taking an assessment for us guys, or if it's just having a conversation about some of this stuff. And I know for a fact, like, I wouldn't be doing that if we weren't doing this right now, which is why I say, bro, it's so funny how people, when I tell them that I put together a podcast and that I get on this show, and they automatically think of the worst type of podcast you can think of for guys to be on. But then they see the content and they're just like, wow, like, I'm actually, like, you guys talk about real things.
Quality, man.
And and that's what it comes down to. And it's very intentional, bro. Like, none of this stuff isn't just stuff that we just throw out there. We're like, we're going to test this today. And it benefits me first and foremost, because I wouldn't be sitting here having these conversations if it wasn't for the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you align back to something, I think what we keep talking about, that isn't just about you, it's still, you benefit from it regardless, which is like a 2-for-1 special that you can't get anywhere else, bro. But I'm glad that we're able to do that today and, you know, kind of have like a new format. I think that was cool to just read off some questions and get your insights on it.
Those were good questions, for sure.
But all right, dude, well, take us out with something inspiring for these dudes that align with, you know, something that you answered today, and just, you know, what can they apply in their everyday life looking at it right now?
I think one of the biggest things that just guys in totality, like, that would just help with life. And I'm not saying it's something that just can happen naturally, but like, if you have just one brother or a friend, like, really cherish that for real.
Yeah,
like, man. Genuinely, like, cherish that. Like, brotherhood is important. Like, genuine, like, friendship is essential to the soul. Friendship is essential to life. So having a brotherhood, I think there's like, that's a very special bond that, subsiding anything else, you could have a boy that's a brother from 10 and you all could be brothers until you all transition and pass away. And I think there aren't too many other relationships to where the longevity can be that, subsiding just actual blood family members. And I'm not going to get off into family and relatives,
for sure.
You know what I mean? The difference within that. But having real brothers, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch, and it shouldn't be a whole bunch, but having real brothers who you all talk about everything, you all are building with each other and growing and really evolving, really cherish that and nurture that for real, because those are relationships that you should have for life. You should grow with your brothers. Like, you shouldn't depart. As long as there's no like slick stuff going on, hate and whatever, all that, as long as it's off love and generosity and off pureness, really cherish your brothers for real, because that's what you need. That's what you need. So I'll tell any guy, like, if you have a core group, nurture that for real. Constantly pour into that, because that's going to help you get through a lot of things in life.
That's facts,
and it's needed. And it's needed, like brotherhood. So really cherish your brothers for real.
It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing to sit here next to this dude and just hear him talk about some really great things and real things first and foremost. But
likewise,
you know, it's also a blessing to get on this and just have great conversation, y'all. So wherever y'all are at tonight, have a great, you know, rest of your night, and we'll catch y'all next week.
We out. My God.